Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey babies. Hi everyone. How about the Orioles, huh?
Little walk-off Rushman action?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
And they had a near fan interference moment that nearly ruined
It's out
it.
of Bartman.
Yeah.
Baltimore Bartman there, hon.
Bartman, hon. Free shots for whoever caught that ball and didn't ruin the game.
That's right.
for
Yeah,
everybody.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
3-2-0, so they get a split because of a rain out of the other game. And as pointed out just on the broadcast, the Orioles have not been swept in a series in the regular season. This happened in the postseason.
Right.
In the regular season since Adley Rutschman, so it's fitting that he hit the home run since he's been called up. And this would have counted as a sweep because they moved the rain out to a different part of the calendar, which then officially becomes part of another series with the Blue Jays because they didn't do a one-off somewhere else just to find an open date.
Yeah.
So they get a split, and that dumb streak stays alive. But fine.
I don't think it's dumb.
Whatever.
I think it's indicative of how good that team has become now. I love it. I love that.
Let's see. Nationals are playing right now. They're heading to the seventh inning in Chicago, and they trail the White Sox 2-0.
Yes.
Patrick Corbin made the start today for Washington, and they're going to the seventh, and there's only 2 on the board, so I feel all right about that.
Okay, it's not too bad then.
Maybe they'll have a walk-off there, hon, out there in the south side. All right, so
This is the problem when we start the show late. This is how you and I talk with each other for an hour, and then we can't get it away.
You don't even want me to talk to
No,
I was talking
stop
earlier,
Stop it.
Where I'm going tomorrow.
Right.
Let's see. We got a lot to talk about today, which is why we dumped out of the we dumped out of the post-game show today. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's see. At 4:20, you're going to hear a little roundtable I did with if you've been paying attention to our media news today. We at ESPN 630 are very proudly going to become the home of the first ever radio broadcast for the Washington Spirit. Woo. And I am very privileged to have been named the play-by-play voice of that group. Gaby, Vincent, who used to play for the Spirit, is going to be the primary analyst. And Michael Minnich, who is basically a historian of the team and has been with them since they started over 10 years ago, is going to be sideline reporter, second analyst. We'll figure out his role, but he'll be in the booth with us as well.
Yep.
And Mike Callow here will be our executive producer. A lot of thanks to Wardell as well. Wardell McCabe, who had a big part in all of this. This has been going on for a long time. We've been talking to them, get this together. The first broadcast we're going to do is Saturday. I know the Spirit season has started, but it's going to be Saturday against Angel City at Audi Field. So that'll be our first broadcast together, and I'm ecstatic about it. You may have heard a lot of interviews with them recently, and it was a primer for we knew this was coming. We didn't know exactly when. Me going to Paris threw a little bit of a crimp into the plans. We're going to end up broadcasting, I think, 13 matches is what we're going to end up broadcasting this year. And then, of course, the way they're going, if they end up in the playoffs, which as it stands right now, they're trending towards that, we'll broadcast those as well.
That's right.
So we're really, really, really excited about this. I'm really excited about this. I was out there today at practice, and we were talking to some of the players, and we were kind of getting our ducks in a row, and I am mainlining soccer the last few weeks to get ready to do a job that I hope that all the Spirit fans are going to be very proud of. And just personally, like, I just this opportunity with them to me is really special. It doesn't. I'll tell you about the Commanders. Doesn't change anything with me with the Commanders. I am remaining as the play-by-play voice for years to come with them. I haven't publicly said anything about that, but I'm allowed to. I just haven't made a big deal out of it, but I am. So this doesn't change anything with that. And there may be a conflict with the Spirit when they play in the fall. Yep. And if they do, I will be calling the Commanders games, and you'll hear Mike actually call the Spirit matches.
Mike Minnich, not me.
Right. We're not really totally sure yet. We have to wait for the schedule to come out tonight to know if there are going to be conflicts, or we don't know. We've been waiting because we don't know. Like all along, we're like, we need the Commander schedule to come out so there wouldn't be conflicts. And then we just got to the point where we're like, let's just put out the ones we're going to do. And if there are a couple where it's a conflict, because they do play on a couple of Sundays in October, and in all likelihood, I will not be available to do in all but we never know. We might have a Monday night game. We might have a bye week. Like it may work out that way. So we'll see how that works out when it comes. But I will be I haven't talked about this a lot, but for a lot of reasons, I haven't talked about it a lot. But I am staying with the Commanders. I'm very proudly staying with the Commanders for years to come, and I'm very excited about that. The feeling was mutual on both sides. One, I wanted, obviously, to be there, and they've reciprocated that, and I'm really excited, off of new ownership coming in. You just kind of never knew what was going to happen, but I'm very pleased and really proud that I'm going to be their voice for a long time coming. So this coming along as well has really made my year. And I just want to say this about the Spirit. They are beyond an emerging property here. It goes without saying that women's sports have exploded in the area. And I've talked about this a lot, that I'm very, proudly from this area. And I look at sports as a way to bring the community together, and the opportunity to call what is an emerging sport that's a very inclusive sport that is going to open, up a lot of different fan bases, young girls. As a father of a teenage girl, this is extremely exciting to say to her that I am connected to this. I want to thank the Spirit personally for naming me the play-by-play voice. They had plenty of really good people to choose from. Obviously, I'm the only one here, but
Sure.
They didn't have to pick me,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that they did. I'm extremely excited about the opportunity. And as it turns out, they got a pretty good team this year with a lot of really new young players. It's a very exciting team, and I can't wait for Saturday. I think it's really going to be great. So if you're coming out to Audi Field, you'll see us up in the booth.
Yep.
Say hi, and we'll be doing it all season and hopefully for years to come with them.
I have a little story time for you. It'll only take a couple minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw my first Spirit game in 2016. At the time, they were playing up at the Sportsplex up in Germantown. And I remember watching the game thinking Ali Krieger was their star at the time. I think they had Crystal Dunn at the time as well, among other stars. And I remember thinking, this is way too big to be here. 8 years ago, it was already my feeling.
I'll tell you a story about that when you're done, but go ahead.
But that was my feeling was, this is so much bigger and better than it should be. And I just remember saying, this is something people have to support. And at the time, I was over at WTEM, and we were lucky enough to get Ali Krieger to come in studio for an hour with me and Tim Murray. And it was one of the best hours we've ever had on those airwaves when I was working there part-time before I was full-time, when you came along. And when we did that, and when we tweeted it out, it was the #1 podcast on the station, period.
Yeah.
That told me then the demand, even
It's
back
there.
then, was there. And all I was thinking was, how do we move this thing along? And luckily, we found that solution. And I know we've said we're having the games here. They are streaming. So,
Yeah.
That's the whole point of all of this, is it's going to start off streaming. Hopefully we move things depending on what happens. But of course, we have the Orioles on our airwaves. But I remember thinking, literally since that summer, this team needs a broadcast. How does this happen? And luckily, the stars have now finally aligned where we can ultimately be that station to do that. And today is just a proud day for me, because it's been 8 years in the making, literally since I went to my first game.
Yeah,
So.
it's funny you said this stuff about this is bigger than it is being treated right now. I've been going out, because preparing for this, I've been going out to their practices for the last month, because I knew this was going to happen. We just didn't know when we were going to announce it.
Yep.
We had a date set, but so I started to go out there to get to know the players, get to know the coaches. And every single one of them who've been around the league for a while, there's a lot of young players on this team, but anyone that I've talked to, Ashley Hatch or Trinity Rodman to a certain degree, even though he's been around a couple of years now, but I'm trying to think of others who've been there a while that I've talked to.
Kingsbury's been around for a little bit, too.
Aubrey Kingsbury's been there a while.
Yep.
All of them, when you bring this up, and we've talked, and they're very excited about this happening, too, because it's just another sign that their league is growing. They all said the same thing. They were like, we always knew this was bigger. We've been waiting for this to happen.
Yep.
And going into Audi Field and now getting 15,000 people to show up to it, the league is exploding. They're expanding. The expansion teams are being the tickets are getting glommed onto immediately for all these teams. Angel City's only a couple years old. They're coming here. They're a massive brand already. This is ready to explode alongside what's going on, obviously, in women's basketball.
Yep.
And I'm very proud to be part of it. So I'm very thankful and very privileged to be part of it. I'm very happy that the station, advocated for me to do this. So I want to thank you all personally for doing that. I want to thank the Spirit for choosing me to do that. My hope is I will do their games for a long time, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We've talked openly about what is the right voice for you. And I'm not shy in saying that. What is the right voice for you? And what I hope in this first season is you get a really cool professional broadcast that you really like. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that they're really happy with the calls of their matches. And then hopefully this is the beginning of a long-term relationship. And we'll see. It starts on Saturday, but I'm really excited about it.
So the fun part about this, too, obviously, as everyone knows, we are the home of the Orioles, as we're just coming off of that game right there. When you fire up our app, we figured out, this is what part of all of our trial and error, on the ESPN 630 app or WashingtonSpirit.com or our website, ESPN630DC.com, there will literally be buttons now. When you fire up our stream, it says, what do you want to listen to? And it has the Orioles logo, and it'll have the Spirit logo. And that's all you do. That's all you're going to do. That's all you can click on it. So we have figured out how to commandeer that, and that's how you're going to listen to the games from here on out.
Yeah, and the team themselves, they have been extremely accessible.
Yes.
They have been great. I mean, really great. They have really helped me really get, up to date on them as much as possible. And I hope to reciprocate this. I hope what they hear on Saturday night is the first of what they're really proud of, and we're really proud to have it. All right, let me take a quick break. Let's go through the leaks of the leaks because the schedule's coming out tonight in the NFL. We think we know half of it already.
Yep.
So we'll go through it next. Bram Washington Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, so earlier today, let's see. Orioles beat the Blue Jays 3-2 on an Adley Rutschman 2-run walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. The Nationals are playing right now. They're heading to the bottom of the eighth, and they trail the White Sox 2-0. We had our announcement from earlier that we are the new home of the Washington Spirit, and I'll be the play-by-play voice for their radio broadcast, which our first one will be this Saturday against Angel City at Audi Field, 7:30 kickoff on Saturday night. And then, of course, tonight we've got the schedule coming out for the NFL, which is trickling out here throughout the day. Here's one that lists the major holiday games. Washington's not on any of them this year.
Look at you. You don't have to spend your Thanksgiving in Dallas again.
I don't. Well, you're not, like, there was some rule about doing every year you can't.
Oh, okay. But they've done it.
Not back-to-back years.
They haven't done it back-to-back years?
As the road team.
All right. Okay.
No, it's been every other year, so book it for next year. They'll be there. But Thanksgiving this year, according to this report, is Bears-Lions, Giants-Cowboys, Dolphins at Packers is the night
That's
game.
an interesting
so
one.
Night game Thanksgiving Green Bay is where that will be.
Got it.
Black Friday this year is going to be Raiders-Chiefs.
Okay.
The Chiefs are screwed.
Yeah.
They're playing off days because they're also Christmas Day, which is a Wednesday.
Oh,
this
God.
year.
Yeah.
Netflix got the Christmas
I can't believe
Day
this,
games,
by the way.
and they hooked them up. Chiefs at Steelers, Ravens at Texans are the two Christmas Day games that are going to be played. The Players Union at some point has got to be guys.
Right.
Wednesday?
Right.
Really?
Come on.
Come on.
Okay, the Black Friday one, I'm a little intrigued. Didn't the Jets?
Maybe they'll put the buys for those teams playing on that Wednesday, the day, the week before.
Maybe. I mean, I think you got to do something.
I think you can't have them turn around and play on a Wednesday.
No, of course not.
So there's your buys.
Yeah.
The week before Christmas is going to be Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Texans all on bye.
Yeah,
That's got to be what that is.
Has to be.
They can't make them. They can't make them play on Sunday and Wednesday.
No, you can't do that.
No.
I think that's interesting. Didn't the Jets outwardly say they wanted to be like the Black Friday team?
They said
Why did they do
wanted
that?
to do
I think
it
they
every
should.
year.
I think they should have done that.
I thought that was pretty New York Black
Let
Friday.
that, let that happen.
Guess not. But I saw the Jets have 6 primetime games. They've already said that.
Didn't we not learn anything from last
they're hoping.
year?
And I mean, it's interesting. The schedule came out. Had they heard that interview that Aaron Rodgers did with old Tucker, they might have rethought a little bit.
Remember when Aaron said out loud, "Stop the BS, cut the BS, or cut the fat"?
Well, he doesn't think it's BS.
That's right.
What he's talking about. See, he thinks everyone else is BS. What he's talking about is all true. He's truth teller.
Oh, God.
And I don't have time to go through it today. And I'm glad we don't have time to go through it today. And I'm hoping it's just I don't even want to talk about it because the litany of things that I read about that he said in this interview. Boy, you want someone to stick to sports. Holy moly. Please stick to sports, guy.
It's nuts.
Come on. I know. It's too much. Anyway, here's what we know about the Commanders so far. Now, of course, none of this
is official.
None of it's official, but most people are agreeing that this is what it is. Washington will start for the first time on the road since 2019. They will play the Buccaneers.
They were due.
Yeah, they were due, and they get the Buccaneers. So they don't get a primary opponent. And, I'm hoping Jaden Daniels is the starter. And if he is, then his first start will be in Tampa against Baker Mayfield. So that's how they'll start.
Exactly.
Week 2, we believe, is going to be the Giants here.
Yep, home
That's
opener.
what we believe. We don't know week 3 yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't gotten that one yet. The next one we know for sure, well, not for sure, by reports,
unofficial,
is week 4 Arizona, and that's
sounds
an
right.
at.
Yeah, that sounds
that's
right.
That's an at game. That is one of, I saw a lot of people tweet out the Commanders have the fewest mileage that they have to travel this year. That will be one of the very few. Remember last year they went out to the West Coast a couple of times.
Yeah.
They went to Denver, they went to Seattle, and then went to the
LA.
Rams.
Yep.
Yeah, so we had 3 long trips. I think this is the one trip that they have that is actually in the Western time zone. I think it's the only one. So it's going to be early week 4 at Arizona. The Cliff Kingsbury versus Kyler Murray
that's
game.
right.
We'll have that tie-in all of a sudden. So we'll have that. Then we think the rematch with the Giants is week 9 at.
Yep.
We think that's the case.
Yep.
They are, bait of my existence, Dallas apparently is the last opponent again this year. I rail on this every year. I hate it because it's one of the biggest rivalries in sports, and invariably, one of these two teams isn't playing for anything in Week 18. This time, as opposed to the last 2 years, that game is scheduled to be in Dallas. So they're going to end the season in Dallas this time around.
Yep.
We'll see what it means. I've seen unconfirmed reports that Week 10 is Pittsburgh here.
Yep.
And then everything else. Do we have anything else? Atlanta, right? I saw Atlanta's Week 17.
Week 17 here.
So that would be the last home game.
Yep.
Is Atlanta here?
And then I saw a leaked Eagles schedule, and it says Week 11 at Eagles Thursday night.
So the Thursday night game that Washington will get, because they're not on the holiday this year, will be the Eagles. And I believe it probably will be the only Thursday night game. So that's one primetime. All these other ones, nothing was listed about whether they're primetime or not.
Correct. Yeah, there's none of that. And then because of that Eagles leak, it said Week 16 was Eagles at home. So it would be Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys to end the season.
If I remember right, they always leaked the Monday night schedule before they leaked the full thing. So we may know before 8 o'clock tonight the Monday night schedule. I'm guessing Washington gets one of those this year. And being that Dallas is at Dallas Week 18, which means they're not going to pick a time slot for it. It's just going to be Sunday, and it'll be determined whether it gets flexed. And it'll move to Sunday night if for some reason this is for the division or something like that, or for playoff spots. Like, they'll flex it. But for now, that's not a primetime game. That's probably slated for probably 4 o'clock window right now. Then it's a good bet that the first Washington-Dallas game here will be a night game. The question is it Sunday or Monday? Probably not Thursday, because we now know the Thursday game.
Week 18 could be Saturday, too. It's the last week of the season. So
yes.
Could be primetime that way, too.
It could, it could be primetime, but it'll be flexed into primetime if it has meaning attached to it.
Right.
So that means to me the other one, because it always rates, is in all likelihood a Monday night or Sunday night game. And my guess is we're going to be back on Monday Night Football here against Dallas at some point in one of the windows we haven't. But that's a guess now. That's my guess now. The Cowboys-Commanders game here is probably a night game here. That's what I think.
I will counter that with, because the Eagles game is a Thursday night, allegedly. This is all allegedly. None of it's official. I do not see them putting Commanders-Bears as a normal 1 or 4 o'clock game. I think that's the Monday night game.
That's a maybe.
I think that's going to be the Monday night
versus
game.
Jaden.
Because it was Thursday night 2 years in a row, right?
It was,
and then I think previously on that, it was a Monday night game too, the last time they were here as well. So for some reason, I think it's just because the markets draw on those prime
maybe
time.
that's a Monday night.
So I think Bears-Commanders is the Monday night game, and then the Cowboys is just like a 4 o'clock, 4:25 CBS game or something like that.
Maybe.
Because they haven't actually played that.
Maybe.
It's
a maybe. If for some reason you're right and the Commanders-Cowboys becomes a Saturday game for the last weekend, which would be slated beforehand, but don't they make everybody play on Sunday? I thought they made everybody play on Sunday Week 18. I thought they did that. I could be wrong about that, but I think they do for competitive reasons because there are teams that are going to have to turn around and play Saturday the next week in the wild card weekend, so they don't want anybody to have a competitive advantage. But maybe I forgot. Maybe they spread it out more. I don't remember.
I'm pulling up the
Week 18 last year.
I'm pulling Week 18 up from last year, and the first game was. It was. The first game
was Saturday.
Yeah,
there were Saturday games.
Yeah, the last week
Steelers
of
played
the
the Ravens and the okay. So it is possible then that Washington-Dallas is a Saturday game, and so that would kind of prime time it. But in all likelihood, if it's on Sunday and is listed basically as a Fox game, then because of who they are and how they rate, my gut says that will be a night game, and in all likelihood, because NBC likes to pick teams that they are fairly certain are going to be playoff teams, that I bet we end up on Monday night here against Dallas. That's what I think will happen. And also, I mean, Dan Quinn here, it's Washington, Dallas. the other game isn't a night game for sure, it feels like it's going to get selected that way. It's very rare that both of them become day games. Very rare.
I'm going to guess, too, the organization probably said to the league, too, we've gotten screwed out of both Dallas-Washington games. Not both, but I'd say 3 years in a row by having them so late in the season. Can you at least flip it for us so we can get it earlier and our fans actually want to go? Because remember that was the bench game.
Yes.
Wasn't the bench game late in the season?
Yeah, that was a day game, though.
It was, but I'm saying, but it was still late and didn't matter.
Yes.
The Commanders were out of it, and the Cowboys were on
that was the year that we lost half the team to a COVID outbreak.
Right,
and we played both games late in the season. Remember they played Dallas, Philly,
last month.
Philly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, and I was so upset about that. I'm like, why would they do that? Like, that is so crazy.
Right. So we'll
there's
see. That one, and then it was the first start for Sam Howell was Week 18. It didn't matter. And then last year, same thing. The season was over with, and they started. So I think the
season was over basically for both of them.
Right.
Actually.
But I think Washington was probably going, guys, can you give us this one earlier, because this is a huge game.
Yeah, I just hate that they play them in Week 18. I don't see the value in it personally.
I agree.
But they've done it again, and it just like any other point in the season, at least it matters for both teams, and that's why I like it. And then if you ever get lucky enough that they end up facing each other in the playoffs, well, they haven't faced each other in a while, and that's what I like about it.
I think it's something the league has botched. Actually, I think you should have like the halfway point be all divisional games, like front to back. Every team's playing divisional games for like 3 weeks, like week 7, 8, 9. Something like that.
I was advocating for make bye weeks for divisions as a whole.
Yep.
Because they always spread them out. Like, why don't you have all the division teams on the same bye week and then have them play the Thursday doubleheader together?
Yep. Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
You want to get crazy ratings for Amazon, put the division games on it off bye so nobody's complaining about it.
Right.
Because then you're on full rest and you're going to get a secondary rest on the other side of it. It works out for everybody. But put me in the NFL. You can hire me anytime you like. Here are the other things we know about. I named the holiday ones. We do know the opener is Chiefs-Baltimore this year.
Yep.
We know that. Tom Brady's first game in Week 1 is going to be Cowboys-Browns.
Yep.
They've already announced that's going to be the first Fox game for him. I did see that Greg Olson's going to the number 2 team. So that's settled.
Okay, so that was finally made.
Joe Davis is going to be the play-by-play voice. He's going to go to the number 2 team at Fox. For now, I guess we'll have to see how that goes, but I guess he's staying with Fox. KC Cincinnati Week 2. So they're going to go Baltimore Cincinnati back to back. The KC Baltimore game, is that in Kansas City or is that in Baltimore?
Banner raising. It's banner raising night.
I think the KC Cincinnati game's in Kansas City too.
It is,
so I think they're starting back to back at home against contenders.
Yep.
That's going to be a heck of a
early
start
prediction. Ye old Ravens fans are going to take that game over Week 1.
You think?
If Lions fans did it last year,
you were telling me that you think the Commanders fans are going to take over the Ravens. We don't know when they're playing the Ravens, but there is a game in Baltimore for the Commanders this year.
Ravens fans, I mean this in the nicest way, they have not protected their tickets the last couple years.
Yeah.
Like, they'll happily sell them for a price. I think Commanders fans are going to happily buy them. That's all.
I think it's going to matter when.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree on that.
And honestly, if it's like mid to late season, it's going to depend how the Commanders are trending.
Sure, but you also,
I think, if we are somehow in a spot where they're 5-3 and they're playing them.
Yeah, but I think what's happening here too is, you know how this works. We're all in the same area. Everyone has friends of friends that have tickets.
Yeah.
So, like, I just think it's becoming
getting
a thing.
It is not hard.
Correct. So I think that's where Commanders fans are probably saying, I want to see Jaden. And for the Ravens fans, they're going, it's another game for us. Like,
previous years, getting into our stadium is very easy.
Yeah.
Years up in Baltimore, it's not hard.
Yes, correct. Exactly.
You have to pay a price, but it's not hard to get into their stadium. Let's see what else. Buffalo-Miami is the first Thursday night game.
Yep.
We know that. The opener, of course, was in Brazil. That's Eagles and Packers.
And that's Friday.
We know that.
That's the Friday.
That's Friday.
Yeah.
So that's the day after the opener, which is Kansas City-Baltimore. That's down in Brazil.
I can't believe how many days in a week.
Keep up with this. Jets in San Francisco are the opener for Aaron Rodgers. So
that's
goes
Monday
out
night.
That's Monday night.
Yeah.
The opening Monday night game is going to be Jets-San Francisco. And then I saw something, I lost it on the Jets. There's like a second very hard game, I think, in a row for them. I can't remember what it was. But like their season starts out with contenders. So that's going to be a tough spot. So we'll see how old Raj is doing for those games.
Warren Sharp, by the way, with the genius take of the day.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the Chiefs at the beginning of this segment. He said, last year, Roger Goodell stuck the Chiefs' first playoff game on Peacock. All the Swifties bought it. Ratings set a record on Peacock.
Yeah.
This year, Chiefs on Netflix. And the Chiefs are one of the games.
Yeah.
Goodell, he says Goodell bilking the Swifties for money and pay-per-view ratings again.
So, like, what new Eras Tour special comes
right,
out the week before Christmas?
That's right, exactly.
With commercials for the Chiefs game.
They owe her the fruit basket of all fruit baskets.
All right, so that's the schedule leak stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where we are. I'll see anything else. All right, a couple other things about the Commanders, just because we didn't really even get to it. So after the show, it came out Martavis Bryant is coming in for a workout.
Yep.
He was really good with the Steelers. Then he kind of had some issues and was out of the league for a while, and then was in Dallas on the practice squad last year. So at least Dan Quinn and Joe Witt and those guys, at least from there, were around him a little bit.
That's right.
He's 32 now. But they're going to take a look at him. And I mean, I've said this for a while. Like, everybody's got an incomplete roster. They do too. And actually being out there yesterday, you kind of see it in full force that this is an odd roster. This is for another day to have this conversation. They are highly more competitive. They have a lot more veteran leadership. There's a couple position groups that are upgraded significantly, like linebacker, like is beyond significantly better. There are a couple of others that are huge question marks, like the secondary, specifically at corner. But I think one of the underrated ones is, I love Terry. I think he's great. Everybody's hopeful that, Christian McCaffrey's brother is going to turn out to be a good number 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. And I'm willing to hear out Jahan is going to have a bounce back year in this offense as opposed to what he was in. But I do think there was a need for another receiver on this team. And they're taking a flyer on Martavis Bryant to see, is he someone worth bringing into camp? And if he is, and he's on the straight and narrow because he had some issues, if he is, there's a spot for him here to certainly compete for it. So I think this is a wise, let's just take a spin with him.
Of course.
See what it looks like, because it is a position, I wouldn't describe it of need like tackle or corner, at least appears corner is to me, but tackle certainly is. But they could use more impact players. And I don't see why this wouldn't be the right type of fit. He fits the profile. He's a bigger target. They don't have a lot of bigger targets on this team. Terry, Jahan, Zacchaeus is shorter than both of them. McCaffrey's not a big dude. They don't have a big target receiver on this team. So it'll be interesting to see if that works out for them. But, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. They're just having him in for a workout. And he wasn't playing last year. He was on the practice squad.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, to your point, it's not a position of need, but you could use a little spark, I guess, is what I would say. Like maybe one more veteran like that to add into the unit.
Because we're short on time, I'm not going to go into all the RFK stuff today because I actually want to wait and hear what are the quotes from the hearing.
Yeah, right.
Which I haven't seen anything from yet. But our guy, Danny Daines, wanted the senator from Montana who is grandstanding about this, about how he wants the logos or what he wants. Some
kind of Native American imagery.
But it was also about the family that created the Indian head logo that was on the Redskins helmet to be somehow honored in some way. And it came out last night that the team already has talked to the family. Like they've already made that clear and put it out there that this meeting that you're kind of saying hasn't happened yet actually already has.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your theory for a minute.
Yes. Okay, sure.
And I think this is going to disappoint you a little bit when you hear this. That logo isn't coming back.
Okay. All right.
Now, on the helmet.
Okay.
But here's the caveat to this. They're talking about building a Hall of Fame with the new facility.
Correct, yeah.
They're obviously building a new stadium. I don't know whether they're moving out of the training facility, upgrading the facility. I don't know exactly yet. I think that there's some uncertainty. They're putting a lot of money into the training facility, and it's starting to lead me to believe that they're going to expand it, upgrade it, and stay there.
Okay.
So I don't know that for sure. And it probably will matter where the stadium goes and if there's room for the training facility to go there as well. So I'm not really sure how that one's going to play out. And it probably has to, RFK doesn't have room for the stadium and the training facility, right? So that means they would stay in Virginia, probably, at least in the short term, unless they decide to move to Maryland. But I don't know why they would build just a training facility. They'd have to do Commander Land to do something like that. And they are spending money and they're upgrading. They're doing a lot. The facility looks very different. It's still too small and not very modern, which is the complaints with the NFLPA survey that they've done with them. But they're doing a lot with it, and I've heard whispers about expansion of it. There's a lot of room to do that. I mean, there's 4 fields down there right now. They don't need 4 fields.
One of the fields is the AstroTurf, which isn't used anymore.
Correct. Right. So there's a bubble there. Yeah. So on the other side, away from the other, so they really have 5 fields there. So they could expand this thing if they really wanted to and make it a more modern facility or build one from scratch. I'm not really sure which way they're going. Either way, my sense off of what Senator Daines was saying, and now hearing the team immediately say, we've already had this meeting and we're talking to them about it, is I think you're going to see this logo come back, but used in homage and probably in the Hall of Fame, maybe in the new stadium. Maybe it makes an appearance in certain places, but I did not get the sense whatsoever that this was at all a starting position of it's going to make its way back to the uniform in any way.
Got it.
Even though we know the name Redskins isn't coming back.
Yeah, right.
So that part of the theory of one day we'll inch our way back to that logo, which everybody obviously loves, getting back on the helmet, I don't think is going to happen.
Okay.
Name or no name. I don't think is going to happen. So that's just my little educated, kind of heard it from the right people.
Okay, fair enough.
We heard him. We don't disagree with him. These meetings have already happened. We're going to honor our legacy and our history, but don't get this twisted. The helmet's not coming back.
Okay. I
don't think that's happening. The feathers are a different conversation, and I don't know what that means, but that logo that we all know, love, revere, I think is going to start popping up in places in the future where it will be showcased. And it will be part of the history and probably in the Hall of Fame, probably a prominent part of it. But it's not going to be on the helmet again. I don't believe that.
I would hope then they start inching some of the merch out too as well. As I said, the name Redskins doesn't have to be anywhere on that.
It won't be.
But what I'm getting at
is they can't do that. Right. And it won't be. And they don't want to open that can of worms.
Of course not. No, of course not. But what I'm getting at on that is there are so many people that are just clamoring to buy that, and then they're going to other places that are selling it illegally, of course. And so I just think we're going to get back to that point.
Yeah, the dollars always kind of lead the way.
Always.
Right. And the reality is, does anyone really look at that logo and think of it as being offensive?
No, of course not.
I would hope not. No. And then the family is trying to tell you this, and the senator's trying to tell you this, and the Native American tribes are trying to tell you this.
Exactly.
So I think that will make an appearance again. I don't know whether it'll be in the current stadium or the new one or the Hall of Fame or the training facility or all of them, but it's not going to be on the helmet again.
Yeah.
All right, let me take a quick break. When we come back, you'll hear from my new partners in the radio booth for the Washington Spirit next. Brainwash the Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. All right, we are very proud to announce that we are the new home and the first radio home of the Washington Spirit of the NWSL. Our first match is going to take place this Saturday against Angel City FC at Audi Field, 7:30 kickoff. It'll be me, Gaby, Vincent, and Michael Minnich, who earlier today at the Spirit facility, I sat down and had a little roundtable about our big announcement and the outlook of the team so far and into the season. It is my great pleasure to be with my partners for the first radio broadcast crew of the Washington Spirit. Our first broadcast is going to occur this weekend against Angel City at Audi Field. Gaby Vincent, former Spirit player, Michael Minnich, who might as well be a historian of the franchise. This is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to do this.
I'm really excited to be here too. I grew up in Maryland, so this is a team I grew up watching, supporting as a fan, got the privilege to play with them, worked for them, and now I get to watch the games and do this radio show with y'all, so I'm really excited.
And you are basically dumping the information into my brain so I don't sound like an idiot on Saturday when I do this for the first time.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Broadcast this team the first 4 years, been around it since, been a fan, when I wasn't broadcasting it. So, yeah, I know a little. I'll try and give you what I know.
Okay. So what do we know about this one? Let's start there. It's been a tremendous start to the season for them. Obviously, we're picking up midstream here, but this is a very young team, a very different team. They made, there's no other way to put it, controversial trades around the draft, and it's worked out so far.
Yeah, no question. How Hirschfeld's come in, been more of a defensive midfielder, has scored 2 goals, which was not something they were expecting from her. They were thinking more of a defensive mindset. She's scored. And then Corey Bethune maybe having the best rookie year this league has ever seen so far. 4 goals and 4 assists for her right off the bat through 9 games.
What do you make of Corey Bethune? It has been just a tremendous start to her career.
I think she's a really exciting player to watch, and especially being so young, her ceiling is so high, but her ability to play with others, to get assists and to get goals, she really sits in a really good pocket and allows the Spirit to find her in an attacking threat. And I think she's going to have a really good rest of the season for the Spirit.
And our first broadcast comes back at home. This was an interesting first, I think, test for this young team over the last couple of weeks. They had a few matches in 12 days. They were all on the road. They were very good sides that they were facing. And they came through winning 2 of the matches. And the one in between in Portland, difficult place to play. They were flipping the lineup around because of the short turnaround. I think they showed a lot here early in the season. Absolutely.
And for a traveling team, for a team that has to play 3 games on the road, the toll that it takes on your mental, on your body, on everything physically, the food that you're eating is different, the bed that you're sleeping in is different, and traveling on a plane is going to take a toll on all those things. So for them to get 2 good results on the road is really impressive.
What did you learn about them over the last couple of weeks?
I think even in the loss, you take a lot away from it. They'd never won at Portland before. They only lost by 1, and they darn near won the game. Corey Bethune really forced a great save out of Shelby Hogan. That would have been 1 goal back. They did get 1 back through Solano, her first goal. So to do that in a short period of time, to win 2 on the road, it's great. And they've been so good at home, you just add on to what they've been doing on the road, and that's why they're in the top 3 or 4 in the league right now.
Gaby, we were talking before we started taping this that you are accustomed in this league to a lot of veteran leadership, veteran teams. This is a very new team. There's a lot of energy here. Can you kind of describe what you're feeling and watching this kind of materialize here?
I think it's really exciting. As you already mentioned, in the offseason, they made a lot of trades of really good players. You trade Kelly O'Hara. You no longer have Emily Sana on the team. So you're going to have to fill those gaps. And I think the Spirit's doing a really good job of doing that. I think they brought in a lot of rookies who have that confidence that you don't typically see on a rookie team. But then you keep your Ashley Hatches, you keep your Andy Sullivans, people, and you bring in Casey Kruger, who has tons and tons of experience to kind of hold it down, but then allow these younger players to bring their new spice, their new flavor that this league hasn't seen from the Washington Spirit.
You had to have been skeptical, though, right? I mean, the fans were. You saw the reaction on draft day with all the players that were traded. You had to be skeptical of what was going on here.
Yeah, you trade 2 players that helped you win a championship in Sanchez and Stab that were automatic starters for you, especially Stab, who started every game that she was a Spirit player. So yeah, you have question marks. How will players adjust quickly to college? But I think what Gaby said is exactly right. They were very smart with free agency, which is pretty new to this league. You bring in Kruger, you bring in Ratcliffe. Those are 2 players that have added that experience as starters, as substitutes, to make those younger players more comfortable and fit in.
And then the other part of the story here is the change in style of play. They radically changed what they are doing. They have an interim coach now. A permanent head coach is still on his way. It doesn't add up to, it would be the start that they've had, which is the best in franchise history. Is that right? The best in franchise history, but that's where we are. What do you attribute to the style of play playing into the early success here?
I think, and speaking to my friends who still play on the team, there's a plan for how they're going to play, and everyone knows what everyone else's responsibilities are. So if players get out of position on, say, a corner kick or a free play, everybody knows where the other person is supposed to be. And I think you can see that when they're playing. They're much more patient. They're not forcing the ball. They're not playing too direct when direct is not on. They're very intentional about keeping the ball, and I think that's definitely attributed to Adrian and his Spanish style of play. And I'm excited to see them keep building on that and get more comfortable in those roles and create more attacking opportunities.
Let's talk about Trinity Rodman here for a moment. 1 goal this season, but a number of assists. She's going to garner a lot of attention. She gets it every single match. How have you seen her kind of adjust to this new style and this new team?
I think Trinity has done a great job to adjust to the style. It's definitely different from her. Teams are used to being very direct with her, playing her in a space, but I think we haven't lost that. We still always have that attacking threat in Trinity Rodman, but I think we're seeing a lot more of her defensively. She's unfortunately having to come back and do a lot of defensive work, but I think she's doing a great job to cover that ground and then play with Ule. I think the chemistry between Trinity, Ule, and Croy has really been really impactful this season, and these these three playing together, always giving each other options, it's creating more opportunities for other people.
And what have you seen from Trinity so far this year?
I think the other good thing is with her bigger picture is, of course, she wants to be a part of the national team. And with a small roster for the Olympics, you have to be able to be versatile. You can't just be an attacking player. And I think adding that defensive game, adding that tenacity that she already has to winning the ball, to getting possession back, and then finding teammates. She's added that in the last 2 years, and she's not just been a goal scorer. She's been a player that's been an all-around contributor for the Spirit.
And there appears to be a lot of options suddenly here, especially with Bethune and the start that she's had. This is a versatile offensive scoring team now.
Yes, and Ashley Hatch is, a world-class goal scorer. So having Ashley Hatch on one side typically, and then Trinity Rodman on the other, and Ule, who's proven that she can score as well. Croy being able to have those three options, look up and have those three amazing goal-scoring options. And then also having that within herself. She's proven she's not afraid to take shots. She's not afraid to create her own opportunities. So those four that we've typically seen have been a really big attacking threat.
I don't like to talk about me a lot, but let's talk about us for a second here as we kind of end this. You've been following this team from the get-go. You've been following the league from the get-go. There's been an explosion in TV rights. We're now doing this broadcast. They're in Audi Field now, playing in front of 15,000 people on a weekly basis. What do you make of what's happened in the NWSL and the Washington Spirit in the area?
It's been so fun, and going from playing at the Maryland Soccerplex, which was a great facility for a smaller game but did not really fit the needs of this team anymore, 5,000 fans was a good night. Now, like you said, we're getting 15,000, 16,000 fans packing Audi Field. It's loud. It's in the middle of town. I think that matters, too, to have a central location in the town where people can get to it easily, can have it be part of the community. It's so fun to see. And then the league, you got expansion teams. They're selling out. Bay FC is selling out. Angel City is selling out. All these teams are not only growing the league in terms of teams, but growing it in terms of interest and fan bases.
You've played in the league, Gaby. What do you make of kind of what's happening as this thing modernizes and seemingly is exploding right now?
It's really exciting to see. And, when I was the player in the league, it's like we all felt it. We all knew the potential of this league. We knew the potential of each market that we were in. But to see all those things come into fruition now. And like I said, I grew up in Maryland. I grew up watching this team. And I never would have thought, we'd be playing in Audi Field. We'd be selling out 15,000 tickets. And I live in DC, and seeing people wear Spirit jerseys all the time, seeing people wave the Spirit pride flag all the time, it makes me really happy, and I'm excited to continue to still be a part of it and help grow the game.
7:30 Saturday, Angel City. You ready for our first broadcast?
I'm ready. Let's go.
You ready?
Can we start? Can we just do it tonight, please?
Why not? Maybe we'll practice tonight. Who knows? All right, so that is Michael Minnich and Gaby Vincent. My partners in the booth will be Saturday night, first broadcast here on ESPN 630, and you can stream it on the Spirits app as well against Angel City. Spirit are off to the best start in team history with 3 top 10 rookies playing pivotal roles for them. They're a really exciting team, and we're excited to get started.
I think you hit it on the head. There had to be some doubt here, right? And, there's not right now.
No, there isn't. All right, we'll take a quick break. Bram wants to show ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Latest leak of the release will be Jaden versus Caleb, Week 8, Bears Commanders. Yep. I believe that's here, right? That one's here, isn't it?
It's here. Yeah, it's here. So let's update the old schedule here.
Yeah. If you haven't heard,
Bears.
unconfirmed all of it. Yeah. Schedule comes out in about 3 hours. But Tampa Bay on the road will be the opener for the Commanders this year. Dallas on the road will be the Week 18 finale. And then we think we know that the Giants are the home opener Week 2 here. The rematch with the Giants will be Week 9 there. Pittsburgh supposedly Week 10 here. At Arizona Week 4. Week 17 would be the Falcons here. That would be the last home game of the regular season.
Yep.
And I'm probably missing a Philly. Philly's a Thursday night Week 11 game. That's the Thursday night game that Washington got.
And then Week 16 Eagles.
And we do know, because they put out the Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas schedule, that the Commanders are on none of those dates. Yep. So they will not be playing on any of the major holidays this year.
How do you feel about that? You, for once, aren't going to be traveling.
I'm glad it's not Christmas Day because it's a Wednesday. And that's just a professional, oh, my God.
What was last year? Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve, was that Sunday?
We played Christmas Eve 2 years in a row. We actually played Christmas Eve on a Saturday in San Francisco 2 years ago.
Right.
That's the Heineke to Wentz game. Yeah. And then last year they played Christmas Eve because it hit on a Sunday, and we played Christmas Eve last year.
Got it.
And then they played Christmas Day because it was a Monday, and now because it's leap year, it's a Wednesday. So all of a sudden.
Brad Biggs with a little extra on that Bears game.
Yeah.
It's because after the Week 6 London game, the Bears will have a bye.
This is my other favorite thing. How many buys do teams get?
Yeah.
How many buys do teams get before you? Yeah.
That's right. And remember, the Commanders were screwed on that for years.
Until last year, when they actually did. The 1 year that they actually had the advantage so many times, and still it didn't matter.
They were the second worst team in the NFL.
Orioles won today. They beat the Blue Jays 3-2. Adley Rutschman, 2-run walk-off home run, bottom of the ninth to steal that one. Nationals lose to the White Sox today, 2-0. They've lost back-to-back games where they've been shut out by the worst team in baseball. So just take that for whatever that is.
I think when I said the Nationals are having an above-average season, they haven't scored.
And then I said, we'll see about that. I'm like, we'll see about that. I've got them.
That's the jinx of all jinx.
I have them earmarked for June or July, the 7-20 month, because it's going to happen to them. I appreciate their record right now. I don't appreciate the last 12 hours, which has been can't score a run against the worst team in baseball.
Like by far.
Caitlin Clark had her debut last night and turned the ball over 10 times.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I guess Taurasi was right about that. You're going to get eaten by the Wolves here. And at least on night one, she found out the hard way that she's not Wembanyama overnight.
Well,
so
I mean, it was first game, right? Okay. Yeah. I think she still scored, 22? I think in
20, I think.
20, okay.
Because I saw somebody tweet out that the over-under on her points was 20.5.
Oh, my God. Vegas is all over her. This has been since college, by the way.
I didn't see how many shots she took, so I should look that one
up. But basically, everybody was like, first game jitters. She just needs to calm down. She needs to facilitate a little bit more.
Give her a second.
Yeah.
Give her a second.
Fine.
The Preakness favorite is out, by the way. So Mystic Dan, who was the long shot winner in the Derby, is not going to come in as a favorite here. All of a sudden, the field is starting to open up for him. So we might have an unlikely shot at a Triple Crown, which probably wouldn't happen with him, but that happened today. Let's see. The Knicks won big last night.
Yep.
So the Knicks are on the precipice again, up 3-2, going back to Indiana. The Pacers said something about, like a couple of them said, we'll see you in Game 7. We'll see about that.
Right.
So we'll see about that. So we had that last night. Denver is wide awake again. Knocked off Minnesota last night and blew them out.
Yeah.
So they go back to Minnesota now, Game 6. I'm hoping we get a Game 7 in that because that would be right.
Yep.
Donovan Mitchell supposedly is going to be out tonight against the Celtics.
Yeah.
So they played the Heat without Jimmy Butler, and now the Cavaliers minus at least 2 games of Donovan Mitchell, and they're 15.5-point favorites tonight at home to close out Cleveland. Nobody's beating them until they get to the finals, and then we'll see who they play.
No, that sounds about right. By the way, the discourse around that has been pretty good, actually, around Donovan Mitchell. Have you heard about this? Because it's a calf strain.
Yeah.
Basically, all of these guys have now taken note because that's how KD tore his Achilles.
Oh.
He had a calf strain, and I guess that's when you're doing that.
Mitchell's about to be free agent, too.
And so,
hey, listen, I don't want to make an excuse. It's the playoffs. He should play through it because, I don't know, he should play through it. But he is about free agent.
But basically, all these guys are looking at what happened to KD. KD pushed himself through this calf strain, and because you overcompensate on your Achilles, that's how he tore his Achilles. So
that did happen in the finals, though.
Correct. No, right. In the finals, and that's when KD was pushing through that. So I think everyone was kind of going, this guy is about to sign a max deal with somebody. That's why he's probably not playing through this.
Mavericks also play the Thunder tonight. That series is tied 2-2 after the Thunder gutted one out in Dallas. So this will be a big Game 5 tonight for them. And so we'll see. Are the champs going to get through Minnesota and get the young upstart again? Don't know. So we'll have to see how that goes. Should be an interesting one tonight. NHL tonight, I believe there's only one game. There is Avalanche Stars with Dallas up 3-1. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the Avalanche?
It's not the Avalanche. It's because Dallas has one of the best goaltenders in the game, and Jake Ottinger.
He's on
he's beast.
I mean, they were the 1 seed, so it's not like it's a shock.
They also are more sound defensively, so I'm not surprised their game has actually translated this well. And the Avalanche, they were the highest scoring team in the league. You know that doesn't translate in the NHL playoffs. So
Boston stayed alive last night. So they
without
go
Marchand.
back home, right? They go back home now, down 3-2. Well, the Rangers aren't tonight. Well, I thought so. They've had a couple days off here. before they get to Game 6.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't even think about that. The Rangers weren't
They're going to get to Game 6. I mean, I'm hoping I want to see the Rangers have to play at home in a Game 7 after being up 3-0. Now, we'd like to see that.
Yeah, so tomorrow is Rangers, Hurricanes, and Oilers, Canucks. So,
all right.
there you go on that one.
Okay, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital.